Well, he's standing in front of a baseball stadium right now, but there is no better destination for Big 12 basketball than our friend Drake Toll over at the Locked On Big 12 podcast. Drake, as we take a look at the Big 12 tournament that is, ongoing before the March Madness all sets in, we know that the Big 12 has sort of been the marquee conference across the college basketball landscape. So how does the Big 12 tournament itself sort of solidify the Big 12 standing as the toughest college basketball division?
Well, Ross, I'll segue. I got the Savannah Bananas behind me who are playing in Baton Rouge this weekend, but TV's all in front of me in the press box have the Big 12 tournament on. And the reason why is because it is the best conference in college basketball, and you watch it for the idea of how will these teams look in March and how will they be seeded in March. When it comes to what matters in Kansas City for the Big 12 itself and its standing across the country, to me, it's the fact that this league wants to almost poach itself. Like the cannibalism that happens in this tournament can be something that teams like Cincinnati or a team like Kansas State coming into the week were looking to utilize to get into March, or a team like Houston is looking to get out of Kansas City, right? To me, I see a BYU who did lose going home as being a good thing for BYU. There are teams in a league that is the best league in the country that just need to take a break. They need a week, 10 days of rest before you go play at a single elimination tournament. And so, Ross, if I am a power squad in the Big 12, I don't care about this week in Kansas City. And I think that shows just how good the Big 12 is because those teams are already so highly seeded for March Madness.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible viewpoint on all of that. You mentioned the cannibalization of the conference within the Big 12 tournament. Yeah. Is that something that maybe sours the tournament itself, or is it just a part of existence when it comes with being the best conference in college basketball?
Oh, it absolutely sours the tournament. Look at the SoCon tournament. You go there, that matters. The Sun Belt tournament, that matters. The MVC, those teams are competing for a place in March Madness. In the Big 12 tournament, where I already know we've got 9 teams locked in, at least 4 or 5 of those are saying, look, we're already a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed. We're happy where we are. Why extenuate ourselves? Risk an injury. Try to win an extra game when it just doesn't matter in the long run. So it dilutes the product you get in Kansas City. And the best example of that is the greatest coach in college basketball right now, Bill Self, saying, you know what, Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson, they need their rest going into March. We're going to sit those guys out. We're going to effectively kamikaze ourselves out of Kansas City so we can just go home and rest a team that needs it. They lose to Cincinnati, and it wasn't competitive down the stretch because they didn't have depth. They didn't have the guys that needed out there. And again, if the best coach in the country is saying, I don't care to win here, why would anybody want to that's not outside of the March Madness picture? Then you want to compete. But if you're a Houston, no reason to be in Kansas City. Just go home.
Speaking of Houston, I mean, undeniably, we're going to be looking at them as a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Just how impressive has their run been so far this season?
They're an NBA team. I watched them, and I think the way that Kelvin Sampson operates that squad, they look like an NBA team because the defense is so suffocating. You saw them hold TCU to 0 points in the first 9 minutes of their game yesterday in the Big 12 tournament. And that, to me, is just a microcosm of what Houston has done all year, led by Jamal Shed defensively, and then LJ Cryer offensively, who can splash it from the logo. That is a team that is complete in the starting 5. And look, they can go 6 or 7 deep, but they don't need it. Ross, in the NCAA tournament, Fairleigh Dickinson is not upsetting teams by using their 8th guy on the bench. What they are doing is utilizing a starting 5, playing 38 minutes a game. And Houston has a starting 5 that if those guys are playing 38 minutes a game, I don't see who's beating them right now. There are a couple teams in the Big 12 that can give them a scare if they meet again in March, but they're the juggernaut, not just of the conference, but of all of college basketball in 2024.
Hey, some of the biggest stars in the NBA aren't worried about playing 38 minutes in a game, and these kids are doing it time in and time out. So it tells you something about where they are. If there was, we talked about cannibalizing within the conference. If there was a Big 12 team that met Houston in the NCAA tournament, which Big 12 team could cause the most problems for them?
I still think Iowa State has the best shot because they play a decently similar style to Houston. I think the Houston offense is better than what the Cyclones give you, but the defensive emphasis by TJ Otzelberger and his staff in Ames is going to take them a long way in March. They were the number 1 shot quality defensive team last year and lost the first round of the tournament 59-41 to Pittsburgh. The reason why, the defense was there, only holding Pittsburgh to 59 points, but the offense wasn't. This year, it feels like they brought that up a little bit with Taman Lipsey. The real problem is that playing playing a Houston, can you score enough? You know that holding Houston to 55 would be great, but if you can't score 56, then what did it give you? I think Iowa State's got the best shot right now. However, if I had to pick a horse, it is still the Cougars, and I think if the Cyclones and Cougars met again, my vote's still with Kelvin Sampson. That was a very fun interview. Thanks, Ross. This has been It Always Will Be. Come back maybe tomorrow, like in a little emergency pod. What do you think? Tomorrow or one of these days. And we'll talk even more about all the stuff that is Big 12 athletics, including March Madness, which is coming up as well. On Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.